Okay, so in case some of you are a bit too shy to ask questions during the Teams meeting, just going through some of these questions, okay? So if you don't need to look at them, then please don't do it without sneaking a peek, but obviously it also shows you a little bit of a way that you can show you're working clearly and you're not just writing down an answer. Okay, so let's look at the first one. I've decided to split it straight down like that, but of course you could have gone across if you wanted to, and you could have also gone the big rectangle and then subtracted the little one. So just because I'm doing it this way, it does not mean it's the only method. So I'll call this area 1, area 2. So we'll just say that the total area is going to be 1 plus 2. You could have said area 1, area 2. All right, and remember these little dashes here mean that it's the same. So if I'm doing this question, I actually put all the information that I have there. So I'm going to put straight away that that's 4, because then I can see that because they're both rectangles, it's length times width, and so the length and width of the big one is 9 times 4, and I can see the length and width of that little one is 4 times 2. And then into my calculator it goes. It'll say 36 plus the 8 there, and it will just pop. Okay, and you can fill that out. Part B, right, you could split the rectangles into 3 rectangles and work that out, but they've sort of given you a little bit of a clue here by giving you that little dash dash dash. So I'm now going to say this is going to be the big. So it's a bit hard to label really, so I like to then use just the shape, so it's the big one minus the little one. And again, they're both rectangles, so length times width minus length times width, and we've got the length of the big one here is 10 and the width is 7, so 10 times 7 minus, and we're going to subtract that one in there. So you can see here we've got the length and the width. And I hope you all know it doesn't matter which one you call the length and width, okay? If I called that the length and that the width, 4 times 6 is the same as 6 times 4, so we'll end up with the same answer. So 7 minus 24, which gives us 46. And don't forget, because we're talking about area, it's meters squared. Okay, so you have a go at C if you like. Again, remember some of the tips. You got dash, dash, so I'm going to put the 4 there straight away. And now you've got options. You could split it over there, so you've got a rectangle or square and a trapezium, or you can go straight down and see that one. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm going to say that's 1 and that's 2. So area will be the length times width plus a half, base times height. And remember, if you have forgotten your formulas, now if you didn't know what the area of a triangle was, don't worry about it. Go back. You should have this saved in your file, all of your formulas. So go back, have a look, and that's fine. Okay, so now what is the length and the width of that big rectangle? That's 8 and 4. Now we have to do a little bit of sussing here, because if I look at this triangle, I don't actually have the base or the height that's just there. You actually have to work it out. Okay, now what they do tell us is that all the way across is 7, but because this is 4 here, well, that has to be 4 there. So 4 plus what gives me 7, so hopefully you go, that has to be 3. I'm going to do the same thing with this height. Again, pause the video whenever you think, yep, I've got it, and then you can double check, but have a think for yourself. The whole thing is 8, but you've used up 4 right here. Lots of diagrams. So 4 plus what gives you 8, so that has to be 4 as well. So it's going to be a half times 4 times 3, or times 3 times 4, that's okay. So 8 fours are 32, and that's going to be 6. Again, you could just put that straight in your calculator and go straight to the answer of 38 centimeters squared. So I hope that's making a little bit of sense to you. Look for splitting up your shapes into shapes that you have area formulas for. On to the next. Okay, what shapes do we see? You can see we've got a triangle, and we have a square. And this time, instead of adding the shapes together, we're going to take the triangle, we're going to subtract the square from that. So we've got a half base times height minus, you can say length times length, or length squared, or length times width, it doesn't really matter. We've got a half times, what is the base of our triangle? It's right there. And we've got our vertical height, which is there, minus the length, so dash, 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 that means if that's 2, that's 2, so minus 2 times 2. And again, we pop that in, so we'll get 25 minus 4, 21 meters squared. Look for your shapes. Now, if you make a little bit of a mistake somewhere, you might have accidentally, when you put this in your calculator, made a bit of a mistake. If I can see you're working here, you're not going to get 0 for any of these questions. You might even get more than half marks. So that's why your working out is really important, so I can see your thinking. Now with E, let's have a look. What shapes do you see? So we've got lots of options. You could split down there and you've got a rectangle and 2 triangles, but what about thinking about going the thing we did like with D, where we split there and we're going to look at the big rectangle minus the triangle. And sometimes you might try something and then you don't actually have enough information. So go back and try something else. So let's have a look. Do we have enough information here? We need the length and width for an area of a rectangle and a half base times height for a triangle. So let's go. We've got the length and we've got the width of the rectangle, so that's good. Okay, minus a half. Now, what is the base? And this is where you sort of want to turn it upside down a little bit. So if you look at it looking that way, that's our base of our triangle. And so that's the same as the 9. So the base is 9, and we need our vertical height, which they have so nicely given us there, of 4. So calculator job. I'm not going to do that. You can do that one yourself. And we're nearly done here with question 1. Okay, have a look at F. What do you think you're going to do? Okay, we can see again all of these little dashes, so that's 2, 2, 2, 2, and also up the sides. I'm compelled. I'm not really thinking, I'm just going to break this up. Look at that. And I don't even need to work out a whole lot of areas or formulas, because I can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares that are 2 by 2. Okay, so I'm going to say that that's going to be 6 lots of 4 centimeters squared. Okay, because each little square there, 2, 2, is 4 square centimeters. And then I'm going to subtract the triangle that we have. And if I look carefully before I doodle on the triangle, see the dash dash? That means that that's 3, and so that's 3. So it's going to be 6 fours are 24 minus a half. The base is 3 and the height is 3. Hopefully that makes sense. And if you did it a different way, might have been better than what I just did. All good. All right, but just break it up into shapes that you can find the area of.